Imagine it's a quiet Sunday morning in September 2025. You're scrolling headlines, sipping coffee when your phone buzzes with an emergency alert. The words feel unreal. Chinese forces crossing the Taiwan Strait. Invasion underway. Social feeds fill instantly. Grainy. Videos of missiles streaking from Fujian toward the coast of Taiwan. Fighter jets roar over Taipei. Explosions echo across Kaohsiung Harbor. The world blinks in disbelief. For decades, this moment was talked about, warned about, planned for, but few truly believed Beijing would do it. Now it has. Welcome to Safety Zone Analysis. Here we don't deal in fear. We deal in facts because today's headlines can become tomorrow's reality. And if you want to understand what this means for your life, not just for generals or presidents, you're in the right place. In the hours before the strike, U.S. satellites had already tracked unusual troop movements, amphibious landing craft clustered in Yemen, rocket forces loaded launchers. Chinese President Xi Jinping, in a televised midnight address, declared the final step toward reunification. His words echoed Mao, but with modern teeth. Intelligence agencies confirm the PLA is now the largest standing military in the world, and this invasion would be its first true test. On the other side of the strait, President Lai Ching-te activates Taiwan's civil defense. Sirens howl through Taipei. Text alerts order civilians into shelters. Subway stations convert into bunkers. Hospitals rush patients underground. Supermarkets are stripped bare within hours. Ordinary families grab bottled water. Radios, batteries, and head below ground, unsure when they'll emerge. In Washington, President Donald Trump convenes his war cabinet. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin warns that Taiwan's military, though highly trained, cannot withstand a full-scale invasion without immediate support. The U.S. Indo-Pacific Command in Hawaii places 2 carrier groups on emergency orders, USS Ronald Reagan and USS Theodore Roosevelt reroute toward the Taiwan Strait. Submarines carrying Tomahawk missiles surface in the Philippine Sea, signaling readiness. Across the Pacific, Japan feels the tremors instantly. Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba calls for a G7 crisis summit and authorizes Japanese self-defense forces to reinforce. U.S. troops at Okinawa. Japanese citizens line up for ration kits at community centers, fearing missile strikes on Tokyo. But not every capital unites. In Moscow, Vladimir Putin gives a carefully worded statement blaming Western provocation and vowing to deepen ties with Beijing. Russian oil tankers reroute east, fueling Chinese ships at sea. Meanwhile, in Brussels, European leaders argue late into the night. Germany, reliant on Chinese trade, hesitates on sanctions. Poland and the Baltic states demand an iron response. The European Union is split. The United Nations Security Council meets in emergency session. The chamber buzzes with outrage, but the vote stalls. Russia and China veto sanctions. The Secretary General warns the world stands on the brink of a generational conflict. Back on the ground, Taiwan burns. The city of Taichung is hit by rocket fire. Power plants go dark. Bridges collapse. And yet resistance is fierce. Taiwanese anti-ship missiles sink 2 PLA landing craft off Penghu. A viral clip shows a farmer guiding troops through his fields to outflank a Chinese unit. Across Taipei, civilians fill sandbags and distribute supplies. Resilience becomes a weapon. Meanwhile, cyber warfare spreads far beyond the battlefield. In Los Angeles, power grids flicker. In London, banks report delays. Singapore's internet slows to a crawl. U.S. officials confirm Chinese-linked hackers have unleashed waves of cyber attacks to distract and destabilize. The front line is no longer just Taiwan, it's every server connected to the global economy. Markets crash. The Nasdaq plunges 18% in a single day. TSMC, Taiwan's crown jewel semiconductor company, halts production after power failures. Suddenly, the world realizes this is not just an Asian war, it's a global supply chain collapse. Automakers in Detroit announce production freezes. Apple delays iPhone shipments. In Frankfurt, trading floors go eerily quiet as chip futures vanish from screens. Ordinary people feel it almost immediately. In San Francisco, parents rush stores for baby formula, worried about supply chains. In Delhi, prices of laptops and solar panels double overnight. In Nairobi, truck convoys carrying medical devices stall for lack of critical chips. This war doesn't just reshape borders, it reshapes daily life. Back in Taipei, families huddle underground. Radios crackle with conflicting updates. Is U.S. air power on the way? Are Chinese troops in the city already? Nobody knows. Social media is a blur of propaganda. Videos of supposed surrenders. Edited clips of leaders begging for peace. Disinformation floods the infosphere. For ordinary people, truth itself becomes a casualty. At sea, the U.S. Navy collides with the PLA Navy for the first time. A destroyer skirmish near the Bashi Channel leaves both sides damaged. American F-35s clash with Chinese J-20 stealth fighters. The Pentagon releases a statement. U.S. forces will defend freedom of navigation. But the question echoes through every living room. Does this mean war between nuclear powers? In Riyadh, Saudi Arabia convenes an emergency Gulf Cooperation Council session. Oil prices spike above $200 a barrel as tankers reroute away from contested shipping lanes. Families in Jeddah and Dubai face soaring food and fuel prices within days. In Europe, heating bills double overnight. In Seoul, North Korea seizes the moment. Kim Jong-un orders missile launches into the Sea of Japan, daring the world to divide its attention. South Korea scrambles F-15s and begins civil defense drills. Ordinary families dust off emergency kits from past crises, unsure which threat will hit first, and the nuclear question hovers. The U.S. Strategic Command raises its readiness. China deploys ballistic missile submarines into the South China Sea. Taiwan's allies quietly distribute potassium iodide pills. The world whispers one chilling phrase: Cuban Missile Crisis 2.0. For intelligence agencies, the assessment is grim. Former Admiral Philip Davidson testifies that Taiwan could fall within weeks without sustained aid. CIA reports warn that cyber attacks on water and power grids could extend into U.S. cities. The International Atomic Energy Agency warns that any strike on nuclear reactors in Taiwan could cause a regional catastrophe worse than Fukushima. So what does this mean for you? It means a disruption you can't scroll past. The global economy tied to Taiwan's chips is the nervous system of modern life. Phones, cars, medicine, even electricity grids depend on them. A war over Taiwan doesn't just threaten Asia. It threatens your ability to buy, to work, to live as you do today. That's why preparedness matters. Keep printed copies of critical documents. Build a small reserve of cash. Stock a 2-week supply of essentials: water, canned food, batteries, and radios. Stay informed through official sources: U.S. Indo-Pacific Command updates, Taiwan's official CECC bulletins, and trusted wire services like Reuters or the Associated Press. Don't drown in the flood of fake headlines. Discipline is survival. Above all, understand the bigger lesson. Power in the 21st century is no longer measured only in bombs and tanks. It is measured in semiconductors, in data flows, in cyber resilience. This war, if it continues, will show us whether the world is ready for that shift or whether we stumble into chaos. This is Safety Zone Analysis. We don't sell fear, we deliver truth. Because the next breaking alert on your phone could be the one that changes everything. Subscribe now, because tomorrow's headlines might not give you time to prepare.